It is live.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and start DRC meeting on Tuesday, April 14th, 10:06 a.m. This is a live meeting that we're holding via Zoom. So we appreciate your patience for as we kind of get things going here and as we switch between different platforms and different shared screens, etc. First thing on the agenda is Helix Farms. Penny, if you can admit Scott and Jared.
There's John Money on there.
Not for Helix Farms, no.
Oh, we're doing Helix. Sorry.
Helix Farms,
What are their full names?
Scott Peterson and Jared West, representing the developers, design engineers.
Just maximize it. There you go.
Okay, so we have Helix Farms. This is the first one on the agenda. We'll just go around the table. This is the
You want to sound check Jared and Scott?
Jared and Scott. Are you guys with us? Yes. Jared West, Scott Peterson, are you with us on this call? I see Jared.
Audio on.
Scott was there, but now I don't see him.
Penny, can you turn on Jared's audio?
It is on.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and go, Jared. Hopefully you can hear us. We're going to go ahead and start on Helix Farms Townhomes. This is the development on the north side of 200 North and east of 400 East, just north of where the grocery store is going in on the north side of 200 North. We'll go ahead and go around the room and discuss any concerns or thoughts that you have. So Taylor. Taylor Sutherland with Fire.
Both driveways on here are in excess of the 150 feet. They're both right around 200 feet. So those would both need to have approved fire apparatus turnarounds or possibly be connected in some way.
Okay.
Along with that, with the width of the driveways through there, there will need to be no parking signs posted on at least one side of those driveways.
On the buildings themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. Chief first.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Okay. Public Works, Wade Eva.
You've probably got red lines on all the utility plan, right?
We do, yeah.
And then what about the approaches for those driveways?
As far as,
Dropping off that 200 north, isn't that fairly steep?
yeah, they'll have to overcome the grade elevation as they come in there. They'll just have to overcome that as they,
Okay, if you've got red lines on the utilities, that's all I got.
okay. Anything from building?
Just one question, is it that first driveway closest to 400, is that a good distance away from the intersection up there? Is that a problem of the
You're
intersection?
sharing the agenda. It's just so you know. I don't know if that matters, but it's not going to show on.
Okay, I'll stop and I'll share the other one. Thank you. So now we should have the plans up. As far as the distance on that goes, there is no minimum distance that we have necessarily. We typically like to have 150 feet, but this one is not going to be able to make that. It's not a city requirement or a transportation requirement. That's just a norm that we try to hit. But in this situation, they're not gonna be able to have that, obviously. I guess we could look at doing, like with Taylor's comments, we could look at maybe doing some type of an access up there north of the lot number 5, where it would come out on 4th East or something of that nature. That might work. That's something that the engineering firm might be able to consider. Just to be able to get that connectivity that we're talking about, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else, Randy?
No, that's all.
Okay. Planning and zoning.
So I think it's just a good reminder that this is a concept plan. So there's no action taken today. This is just feedback that we're giving the engineers and the applicant so that they can do what they need to on the plans to prepare for a preliminary plan. So there's a number of comments from both planning and zoning and engineering, and a lot of it's just generic stuff to give them the guidance they need to work on their preliminary plans.
Okay.
Just a side note, and maybe specifically, it's mentioned in the red line, but architectural review will be required, and it can happen really any time in the process. Before preliminary goes to planning commission and city council, it's generally best to do it then, just because both those bodies like to see what the building's going to look like as they review it. Yeah, there's not really much else for us to specifically bring up. We have the generic red lines on there, but not anything that is, you know, a really poignant comment that needs to be made in DRC.
Okay, so with that, what I would recommend then is, since we're not seeing representatives being able to communicate, Jared and Scott, but maybe what we'll do is, rather than going through each one of these red lines during DRC, we'll go ahead and email them to you and provide those so that you can have that feedback, and then you can resubmit accordingly with the preliminary plan if you would like to go that way. Scott, can you, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
Can you hear?
does that work okay for you guys? Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, well, and I think we're fine, I guess, unless there's any, I guess I don't know without looking at them, but we can take them and get back to you if we have questions.
Hey, Norm, since Scott's in here now, I think the biggest red line for you, Scott, is going to be from fire. And so, sorry, Taylor, I wonder if maybe you could repeat your comment, because that's going to be the most impactful red line.
So on both driveways, where they're dead ends, they're both in excess of 150 feet, closer to 200. So those would both require an approved fire apparatus turnaround at the end of them.
Or some type of connectivity,
connectivity to make it
A loop.
a loop, not a one-way dead end kind of deal.
Scott, did you get that?
Yeah. So the 150 feet, is it on the driveway length, or is it to where the fire truck needs to be to fight the fire? Because we've done these in the past, and the 150 needed to be to the back of the building, which
No,
we are there.
It's the road length. And reason being is, say you have a fire in unit 6, our first fire truck isn't going to stop at unit 6. It's going to pull past for additional vehicles to come in. And so that's why it's the 150 feet from access point to dead end.
Okay, well,
So Scott, go ahead.
I just haven't understood it that way in the past. I understand that 150 foot length is our maximum, but you're saying that you're counting the length into the parking area.
Correct.
So one of the things that was discussed, maybe you heard or didn't hear, was maybe there could be some connectivity north or on the east side of 400 East, where that would go through. Don't know how that affects storm drainage or landscaping or parking or anything like that, but that might be something that you may want to look at to try and have that connectivity there.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
And everything else, again, with Jason indicating, everything else is planning and zoning and engineering, just at the preliminary level or the concept level. And we'll just give it back to you, and you can address those comments accordingly.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and if there's no further discussion, we'll just go ahead and send those back. This is, Scott, this is a concept, so there is no action by DRC. We just give you comments and then you can come back and resubmit accordingly with your preliminary at some point in time.
Okay, and then what about concept, because they go to planning, right?
That's correct.
Doesn't,
So from this point now, Scott, we'll set a public hearing and we'll plan to have you on the planning commission meeting 2 weeks from now. If you can address some of the red lines, that would be great. But it's not like it's required. It's just going to be more additional feedback from the planning commission members. So obviously there's some things that would need to be looked at a little bit closer that might change the way this flows and the way it's shaped. My understanding is that you guys have more parking than what the minimum requirement is. I guess you have the qualified 24 by 24 garages, which counts towards 2 parking spaces. So I don't know if you have the option for a hammerhead at the end of those. You know, those types of things would be good to see as it moves forward. But that's kind of my first blush recommendation for you, is to look at that and see what the feasibility is of making a hammerhead that maybe even connects, or I guess that would be a full-on loop that would work. But anyways, look at those things and we'll plan to have you on the next planning commission agenda.
okay, great. Thanks. We'll try to get the site layout updated before then.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Give me just a minute. We'll get the next one coming up. On the agenda is the 341 townhomes. We would, Penny, if I'm not sure who the 385 number is there. Do we have a confirmation on that, or do we know what's happening there? Ryan, I'm seeing 385 215 5838. Let's see if we can get that one online.
Norm, I'll find out who that is if you would like.
Okay, that'd be great. Ryan Hatfield could be admitted on that one. He's representing the developer on that one, Penny. You can go ahead and take Jared West off as well.
Can our participant with the phone number 385 identify themselves, please?
Curtis Levitt. Curtis Levitt, D.R. Horton.
Okay, that one's not yet, Penny.
No,
That's Curtis Levitt. Okay, the next one on the agenda is 341 townhomes. This is a set of townhomes on 100 South, on the north side of 100 South and 341 East. This is actually may seem familiar to some of you. We've had some submittals on this in the past with trying to get 4 units in there, where this one just has 3. So this is again on the north side of 100 South and 341 East. So we'll go around the table and indicate any comments that you have, please. Taylor?
I don't have anything.
Okay, nothing from fire, police?
Nothing from police.
Okay,
Just the utilities will all have to be all new installed, maybe the sewer stuff may be there.
okay, so can you make sure and capture that on the notes, Kara, that all the utilities will have to be new? Evidently, there may be some older utilities there that we're not gonna reuse.
So we're disconnected.
Okay,
Norm, can you share your screen?
sorry, yes. If I can figure out how to run this thing, I'll share my screen. That got it?
Yeah, that got it.
Okay.
More for the sake of the YouTube video.
Thank you. So we do have
There may
also,
be a sewer connection, that would be the only thing.
okay. All right, we'll make sure and get those comments to the developer. Nothing from address or from building at this time. So again, this is a concept review.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's the same thing as the last one, just feedback. There's not any action being taken today. So again, we have a number of very generic red lines to give them some direction for preparing for preliminary. I guess a couple of things with this to realize is because this is only 3 lots or less, this could go through a process where the planning commission provides the approval. So that could be a little bit of an expedited process for them. Let's see.
So Ryan, we'll do the same with you on this one. We'll send you the red lines. This is a concept version. And because of that, there's no action taken by DRC today. We will just provide you with the red lines, which are mostly things like parking, right-of-way, landscaping, those types of things. You have any questions on that? Ryan Hatfield, do you have any questions on that?
No, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. No, I think that's pretty basic. I appreciate your time. I think that's what we were looking for. So I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay.
Norm, the other note I was going to make was they don't show a usual trash enclosure for like a dumpster like we've seen with multifamily units. However, with it only being 3 units, they have a designated area for trash, which we're assuming they're going to propose to have 3 cans. I think because it's only 3, I don't have a problem with having 3 cans out on the street. So that's something they provided, and we're assuming that's what they're proposing. But
yeah, we're asking for some clarification on that, what style of trash enclosure, because that enclosure is not large enough for a can, and you couldn't get a truck in there anyway.
Yeah, that when I had talked to John, that's what he had said. Those will be a trash bin for each separate unit and a little bit of room for storage as well.
Do recognize that most units have 2, one recycling and one regular trash. So you're talking really 6 carts.
Okay, I'll let John know that and then make sure we account for that.
Yeah, you may need to make that area a little bit larger to be able to compensate for that. Okay. Any further comments, anything at this point in time? Okay, we'll go ahead and send you those red line comments, Ryan.
hey,
Okay, I
Ryan,
appreciate that.
Norm, one more comment for you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Because of the zoning that you're in, you are going to be required to provide architectural renderings for this. It's
Okay.
not a regular schedule that we have for Architectural Review Committee or ARC. It's just on an as-need basis. So if you can look at the code, look at the architectural requirements for the MSR zone which you're in, and provide us some architectural renderings that provide the details so that we can make sure that those requirements are being met. And we'll work with you to set up an ARC meeting and get your renderings approved. But it's best to start doing that now. We prefer to have those architectural renderings approved before they go to Planning Commission. I guess it's not even going to go to City Council because it could be an expedited process. So we want to see those sooner than later before you go to the Planning Commission for them to consider giving you approval of this subdivision.
However, also keep in mind that should the developer seek a deferral agreement, that would have to go to the council.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. Have a good one.
Have a great day.
You too.
Next item on the agenda is the crosswalk request for the area of right in front of the Apple Valley Elementary. Sorry, I'm getting confused on that.
Can you bring
So
your?
I'll go ahead. I'll bring up the email.
Can you bring up a map? Actually,
Yes,
thank you.
maybe in theory. Okay.
I'm assuming the Bentleys haven't called in on this one.
No. No. So if I could kind of walk us through that one, if that's all right.
Yeah, are you good? Are you seeing that now, Ben?
I am now, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I can't see the whole, the school, but that's okay. The request that came in, perfect, that's great. The request that came in from the school was, or from the Bentley, Mr. and Mrs. Bentley, was to have the city repaint the crosswalk that comes out of the main entrance of the school and crosses at a little bit of an angle to that road right there where the mouse is. Originally that was painted, and that paint has long since been removed from the road through snow plowing and other effects, but was never repainted because at the time there was not a sidewalk or in the homes on that north, except south end of that road. We're not the road. Sorry, I'm getting feedback on myself. Anyway, now that those homes are there, the sidewalk is there. I reached out yesterday to Principal Argyle. He would greatly prefer to see that repainted, and is indicated that the school district and him and his teachers would be manning that in the afternoons. Of course, we don't need to repaint it right now until the school restarts. But if the city would be willing to do that, they would be willing to make sure that the kids are safe in traversing it. The second discussion that we had that was requested by the Bentleys was that intersection just south and across the intersection. And when we as staff were looking at that originally, we thought that that was an unmarked intersection, but in fact it is marked. It does have stop signs going north-south. We can't go out and look at the traffic patterns as they exist when schools open because of the COVID-19 issue. So I reached out to a neighbor of that intersection on the northeast side, Councilmember Nick Miller, to ask his impressions of it. And does that need to be a controlled? Normally with MUTCD standards, we would recommend that the control would actually be east-west, not north-south. He was indicating that people do blow by that intersection quite rapidly as they're trying to avoid the school traffic. And so he would recommend that actually, instead of removing any, but we would add 2 more stop signs. It would be a 4-way stop. It's not exactly in harmony with MUTCD, but considering its co-location to the school, the nature of it being bypassed around the school, and the observation of both the Bentleys and a council member who has great visibility into that area, I would recommend that we repaint the crosswalk to the north and install 2 more stop signs on that intersection, making it a 4-way stop.
Okay. Anything further on that, Ben?
That's all I have.
Okay. From fire, any concerns that way? From police?
I have a few concerns on this. Has anybody other than Principal Argyle been consulted, like Dave Knighting or anybody that's in charge of the safe walks routes for the district? Maybe.
No, we can certainly reach out.
I'm sorry, you're broken up.
I said no, but we could certainly reach out.
I have the map here for Apple Valley Safe Walks route, and that doesn't show on that crosswalk. So my concern is I think it needs to go to a district level before we paint any new crosswalks, because that's not my recollection. I don't recall a crosswalk ever being there. Maybe it was, but I remember when we had a meeting with the district officials and we were on site down there, they wanted them crossing over at Center Street and 200 East on crosswalks. But I don't know if those crosswalks ever got painted. I'm not against it. as long as they understand that we're not gonna provide a crossing guard. But I think it needs to go to the district level. Before we, and I don't think we're in any hurry to do it right now, given the circumstances.
Correct.
And then, so on the request, on the email request, I didn't get that till yesterday, but they didn't mention anything about the intersection at 730 and First East. It was just the crosswalk.
There was actually multiple emails coming from them before we re-engaged. We started our process to bring this through DRC.
So do we want that at a four-way on 730 North, or just swap the signs and go east-west instead of all four directions? The other intersections in that neighborhood go east and west with stop signs.
MEPC would recommend that you would go east-west. And I can see it going either east-west or staying four-way. It really comes down to when First East connects. Right now, it's not an issue. But when First East connects, that would be a thoroughfare then going straight north into the school. And with its co-location, I could go either way. Right.
Is there a proposed crosswalk on 732?
No crosswalks, no lines painted, just a four-way stop.
I would recommend that if you're going to make it a four-way stop, then you put a crosswalk on the east side of 730 North and 100 East.
And that would line up with a potential crosswalk that we're talking about with the district. So
Correct.
engineering, I think, would be good with that as well.
But make sure we don't do one on the west side, because there's a block wall down there that blocks visibility. Those would be my concern. That's all.
Okay. Anything else from fire? Wade?
We'll do whatever you come up with.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. I think that's all the discussion that we have with that and needing to go to the district. How do you want to act on that, Ben? Do we want to make a motion here, or how do we want to handle that?
Why don't I
table it and bring it back?
Why don't I make a motion to table, and I'll reach out to the school district.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Rod. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is the Hills. We're gonna look at 4 phases of the Hills. This is the subdivision just to the west of the railroad tracks on the south side of Summit Ridge Parkway. So I'm going to open up those drawings now, and
You wanna let in who's?
yeah, let's go ahead and bring Sean into that. Penny. John Money's on there now. You might want to just let him know that we've already passed that, and we'll send it to his
We didn't pass it, we just gave feedback and we're doing that.
right.
Okay. And G-R-R-I-N-G.
Okay, so we're going to the Hills, Summit Ridge, getting that open now. Thank you for your patience. On the agenda today, we have plats C, D, L, and F.
Are you there, Sean? Can you hear us?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yep, great.
Great. How's it going, guys?
Good, thank you.
Here.
Waiting on these to open. I'm not sure why we're not opening now. Stop.
Dropbox is wigging out, Norm.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop downloading it from there, then it won't have such an issue. Okay, sorry about the delay on that. I'm just trying to get files open and make sure we can do what we need to do. Again, this is 4 phases of the hills. I'm gonna go to the phasing plan so that everybody can see kind of what we're talking about here. What's currently being proposed. So A is already approved and under construction right now. Plat B is partially being improved and under construction right now. What we're considering today is Plat C, D, F, and L. So with that, we'll go around the table and see what we have. Taylor, any concerns?
I don't have anything.
Okay,
Nothing from police.
okay.
You got connectivity with all the looping.
Yeah, so the question is connectivity with all water looping and roads. Did we let, Sean is here? Okay, good. Just making sure that everyone understands this is, these 4 phases fall simultaneously. They have to be all constructed. There is a portion of Plat D that can be recorded and still meet our distancing requirements, looping requirements, all that kind of stuff, or not looping, but distance requirements for both access and water. These fall under the previous ordinance rather than the 10 home ordinance rather than the 750 feet or 500 feet right now. So they were submitted before that was passed. But again, what their consideration is, and Sean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but their consideration is to do F, L, and D simultaneously, and then potentially C would be last. But again, C relies on other phases to be able to have access, et cetera. Sean, is that correct? That the plan is to do all 4 of them at the same time,
Correct. Yep.
roughly?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I got.
We have red lines for some address adjustments, but they're on the red line form.
Okay, so we'll send those red lines to you, Sean, for the addressing. And for the sake of time and all else, I think that we'll just run through a few of the red lines and then send them up to you so that you can consider that again to get things going. Does that work okay for you, Sean?
That would be great. Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to open up some of the other. So first we'll look at C. I think the biggest thing with C is that you're still showing the connecting road that's now not going to be constructed that would connect C to D at the end. That is probably really the biggest concern that we have. And then also some changes on the open space. The open space is currently under consideration for some changes under the current development agreement that's being amended right now, and we'll have you change those notes accordingly, Sean. To where the open space and the dog park is not going to be owned by an HOA, it's going to be owned by the city, but the developer would improve and maintain accordingly on those areas.
Okay, so,
Again, that's,
okay,
Go
I was
ahead.
wondering about that, because was that on council last week?
was on council last week. We're still going back and forth on a few items between attorneys for the developer and attorney for the city. We're very, very close on that and anticipate having that amendment signed within the next day or two and recorded so that this can move forward.
Okay, so owned by city, maintained by developer / HOA.
And also improved accordingly. So the
Improved.
dog park would be fully improved. The trail system would just be improved with seating and the trail system that goes through there according to the old amendment.
To be
Okay.
clear, Norm, the power line easement, none of that's being dedicated to the city, correct?
No, it is.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
The power line easement and the dog park. Now that would get different credits for those. The one is minimally improved. The trail and the corridor underneath the power lines would be minimally improved with a road-based trail and reseeding, basically an open space type situation.
So we're gonna be slowly accepting dedication of the entire trail corridor that is in that power line easement?
Yes, that is in harmony with the 2006 amendment and in harmony with what's being considered right now under the second amendment.
And
Ben,
Sean,
is that correct?
That is correct. The only correction to what has been said thus far is that because there is one material change to the language being proposed by both attorneys, it's very likely that this will need to be ratified by our city council during their next meeting.
Okay. Chief first.
You said the city's gonna own this park?
The dog park would be, yes, the dog park shown here, the kind of the trapezoidal shape here would be owned by the city, but there's also a trail corridor that runs along the power lines that they can't build under, and that will be also owned by the city as well.
When you say dog park, what is the definition of dog park?
So they have just some
stuff area.
this would be all basically grassed in with some trails and concrete and some areas that dogs can play and that kind of stuff. I don't know if they have if they've submitted any amenities or anything like that.
Basically just a fenced
They're
off
just
area.
calling it a dog park.
Okay, so if we have a dog park, are they exempt from leash laws and so forth? If it's a dedicated dog park?
There would need to be a posting of rules for that park.
Right.
Okay, what are the rules for that park? And what is if someone violates these rules in the dog park, what is the penalty or the city owns, you see what I'm saying? When
Right.
the city owns the property.
So in
is
my
it a
mind, that would,
violation of the HOA rules, or is it a violation of, you see where
Right.
it kind of gets muddy?
in my mind, the control of the park and therefore the ordinances that they would be under would be city because it's city property. The HOA is just maintaining the park and improving it.
But I don't think we have anything in there that says that defines dog park or allows dogs to run loose in a designated area.
Yeah, and I don't think so either. Ben, do you have some thoughts on that?
No, you're right, Rod. We would need to update our ordinances to allow for that. But typically with a dog park, it's a fenced location. You bring your pet in there into a fenced area, the gate's shut, and then they're running in a fenced area.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. I'm not against it. I'm just saying we need to make sure that we have a designation and some,
Signage, proper signage and
well, some different ordinance that addresses allowing a dog to run a
Good
park,
point.
basically.
And that's a great point because we have another dog park that's being proposed. So we don't have any existing in the city and that's a good point. We need to make sure we have rules in place for governing
Okay.
those spaces.
so we'll work on that offline through planning and zoning to do whatever we need to do and we'll work with you on that, Rod.
Good.
Okay.
And Sean, I was just gonna say, that note on there was just making sure that you're labeling those park areas appropriately, because it still says common area. To make sure it says dedicated to the city, maintained and improved by the HOA as per the development agreement, something along those lines.
Okay, thanks.
Any
Okay, let me
motion,
run down.
any motion that's made today would need to be contingent upon that development agreement amendment being executed.
Okay. So Sean, also, you're still showing a road through here that was, I think, contemplated before between Plat D and Plat C. That's not going to be constructed. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, I think these were turned in when that was going to be the way. So
Okay, that's our understanding as well. So again, just there's probably some line work and some pages or at least one sheet in that one that probably doesn't need to be there. Okay, with that, I would look, if there's no further discussion, I look for a motion on this. This is just for Plat C.
Yeah.
This is final. Yes, this is correct. It's final. And as Ben indicated, the motion would probably look something like pending engineering and zoning, planning and zoning red lines being addressed and pending the execution and recordation of the contemplated second amendment.
Norm, I'll make a motion that we approve the Hills Summit Ridge Phase C with the conditions that the planning and zoning and the engineering red lines be addressed, and that it be subject to execution of the second amendment to the Summit Ridge Development Agreement.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Taylor Sutherland. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that's unanimous. I'm gonna close that one out and open up Plat D. Sean, we have some addressing comments on this as well that we'll get to you.
Yep.
But essentially, we're basically looking at the same thing here, making sure everybody understands that this is a phase that's contingent upon other phases to be able to plat completely. We do have a couple of comments on just some cleanup stuff for the, if I zoom in up here, you can see that we've got some wording and other things that just need to be verified. Then down here, you've got different scales. Sean, you'll need to verify the correct scale. Go along, similar comment here where the open space for the trail corridor will be again minimally improved and dedicated to the city and maintained by the HOA. There's some other calls on there, Sean, that are not allowing us to close, so you'll need to address those. Some other notes on the plat just for cleanup. Again, that road isn't going to be there. This sheet's probably not needed, Sean, if that road's not going to be there. With that, I look for a motion.
Norm, I'll make a motion that we approve the Hills at Summit Ridge Phase D with the condition that the red lines for planning and zoning and engineering be addressed, and that it be subject to execution of the second amendment to the Summit Ridge Development Agreement.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Wade. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any contrary or nays? So that's unanimous. We'll pull up the next one, which is Plat F, as in Frank. Similar comments on this as far as the phasing goes and connectivity and looping. Similar comment on the open space, naming and responsibilities there.
What was the, where do we end off with the fencing that was gonna be along the back sides of those lots with the railroad tracks?
So they're currently showing on plat F and L, they're currently showing a vinyl fence across the back there. Is that correct, Sean?
Correct. Yep. Is that still what is wanted? Is that the plan?
You know, I think we need to have an offline conversation about that as far as durability and what's best there. That's probably something that we can address on a offline with the developer and with the sub-developer as well as the HOA to determine what's best there. Just seeing the need for extreme maintenance on the north side of Summit Ridge Parkway and what's already been there for many years. The vinyl may be something that is not as desirable, but again, we'd have to work through that with the developer and the HOA.
Okay.
Ben, do you have any further comments on that?
I highly concur.
Okay. Well, I think that's something that we can handle offline, but just so you know, they are showing a fence there now that we can talk about style and durability and other things offline from this and some type of a substitution. I don't think it would have to come back to DRC.
Okay.
Again, meeting a development agreement and the intent thereof and durability.
I got another comment, Norm.
Okay.
Hey, Sean, so I'm looking at that corridor open space that's in the power line easement. And if you go to one of those pages that has that, Norm.
Okay, let me get there. I'm just making sure I've got the rest of my red line comments taken care of. You want a site plan view? Is that what you're looking for, Jason?
Just the
So
one,
there's
that'll do. So you see how the trail just kind of goes and just ends at the end of the fence? I don't anticipate we're ever gonna have a bridge over the railroad corridor. That's next to impossible to make that happen.
Mhm.
So instead of it just having dead end at that fence, a part of me wonders if we have it dead end to something else that kind of is a bookend for the trail network. I don't know, maybe a little pavilion or a picnic area or something like that, but it just seems kind of funny to have the trail just go right into the end of the fence. It seems like that'd be an opportunity to make it a bookend for an amenity for the residents that live there. So
Okay.
I don't know if that's something that, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. I wasn't sure about future extension there. So I don't think any one of us would have a problem putting a couple benches or maybe a barbecue area or something in there. I think it's a good idea.
That would be awesome.
maybe even a like a bulb out, like a trail, for lack of a better term, a trail cul-de-sac there that doesn't actually take the trail all the way to the fence and kind of gives an area for some seating or at least doesn't give the appearance that we're going to be continuing that trail over the railroad tracks.
Yeah, I'll put something in. I think that'll be great. It's a good
The other
idea.
alternative is we'd love to have you work with Union Pacific to build a bridge across that railroad corridor.
Barbecue sounding really good right about now, right, Sean?
Okay, I'll make that happen.
Okay. All right. I look for a motion on Plat F or Phase F of the hills at Summit Ridge.
Anybody else can make that motion? I'll make a motion that we approve the hills at Summit Ridge Phase F with the condition that red lines be addressed, that it be subject to execution of the Second Amendment of the Summit Ridge Development Agreement, and that specifically the trail corridor in the power line easement be improved with some amenity at that end, and that be worked out and coordinated and approved by staff.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. One more, guys, on this one, and then we'll get to the next set. Thanks for your patience. So we'll look at Plat F now, or sorry, Plat L now. Again, this is an extension just south of Plat F that we just looked at. So similar comments on this, Sean, as far as connectivity and looping. Again, similar comments on let's see, this one doesn't have a trail corridor. Let's look at this and see what it says. So you got some addressing comments on there that you'll need to take care of. Again. Again, the temporary road's not going to be there. Coordinating with the postal service. You need a valve down there at the bottom to isolate water lines. You got a double curb inlet on one side, Sean, and not on the other because of the distance and the slope there. You're gonna need a double curb inlet on both sides. Okay, so I look for motion on this one.
I'll make a motion that we approve the hills at Summit Ridge Phase L with the conditions that the red lines be addressed and that it be subject to execution of the Second Amendment of the Summit Ridge Development Agreement.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Taylor. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great. That gets us through those four. And we will get back to the last two items on the agenda, which are Foothill Village, Plat L and I. So let me pull those up really quick. Thank you again for your patience. Let's see, that's not there.
I think Curtis is jumping on. I told him would be a while on the hills, so he's jumping back on.
Yeah, if you can let Curtis, and there's also, I think there's two. Yeah, that's all for now. That John Money one, Penny, can go off. That was for an earlier project. All right, Curtis, have we got you with us?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Unmute your mic. Okay, thank you. Just got to share my screen here. Hang on just a second. We'll get this up and we'll get going on these two plats. So this is Plat I and Plat L of the Foothill subdivision we'll be talking about here. So this is Plat I and this is Plat L. For everybody's reference, Plat G is right here. That's currently under construction. Plat F is just to the southeast of that, and it is already constructed, and they're constructing homes on that. Plat G is just under construction for the horizontal right now, meaning the subdivision improvements. So we'll go ahead and go around the room on plat I. If you have L at the same time, you're more than welcome to put those comments together. From fire,
No, I don't have anything.
okay? From police,
Just a question, are we still on our target date for that frontage road?
we are. They have received a preliminary, not a preliminary, but they have had a pre-construction meeting for everything north of where the old gate was down at the bottom. They can start construction on that. They've already paid their fees. I talked to the contractor this morning. They should be out there within the next couple of weeks to start that construction. And then we're still working on a few items with UDOT right now, down from where the gate was down to Summit Ridge Parkway. But yes, they are on track, and and in fact, our red line comments, and they understand that the 151st building permit will not be issued until that road is in.
I don't have anything else.
Okay. Wade. So just for your information, they have shown a water line looping through the future plat H, because they didn't meet it before, so they've got that on there now. We have some addressing comments on the red lines, Curtis, that we'll send to you.
I think they've been addressed.
Okay, maybe they've already been addressed. Okay.
So Curtis, just a couple things just to make note of and for the record. So at the north side, northeast, whatever, end of the road, there's that discrepancy with that, the right of way and the shape of the lot lines that you have there. That's just gonna need to be cleaned up because there's some vacation there. The city council will need to vacate a portion of that. It's a technicality, but we can take care of that separately and make sure that's taken care of appropriately.
Sean, our engineer on the call as well. So.
Yeah, Curtis. Curtis, yeah, I sent over some legal descriptions, and I think we're working on getting that all cleaned up. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
It's mostly just to mention for the record that those things are going to need to be cleaned up so that radius matches the way that it should. And then as well, right there at the end of that road, just to point out that we did move the trail from the northeast side of the road to the southeast side of the road. So there will be that meandering trail on that side of the road that will connect to the southeast, the park that's down there, and eventually down to the Allen Pond area for pedestrian connectivity. So nothing that needs to be done there. I just wanted to make those things known on the record.
Okay. Just some cleanup items on the plat addresses.
That's older version.
Okay, let me open up the right one then. Sorry, let me get the. Okay, so same comment still on there about cleaning up that intersection, just making sure. Wait a minute, this is L. Sorry, go back to I. One more thing to keep track of. I'd be doing good.
It should be I. You got up there right now.
It is, but that's not the non-red line version.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm getting there. All right, getting back there. Just a similar note, Curtis, that these have to be concurrent and connectivity and looping requirements are met, which you're aware of. Storm range to the frontage road is going to need to be in place, and any offsite infrastructure, Sean, we're going to need some easements for that, so that you're aware where that water line is offsite. We're going to need an easement for that, please.
And I think I'll have to check with DR to see if that's recorded, but I think it's been written up and probably recorded by now.
So that goes through this future road in H, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just need verification and being able to verify what you've got there, please. The typicals for your setbacks need to be changed. Sean, you're still showing your older ones. While those still do apply, there's other ones, so you'll need to show both sets of setbacks according to the development agreement that was, the amendment that was done a couple months ago.
Okay.
Just making sure there's a note here, Sean, to make sure that you've got details enough for our depths on our storm drain boxes. We've had some issues with that with other developments in the past where they not put them in deep enough. We just want to have those identified right on the plans. This is a sheet that we've put in there, Sean, so that you can see what we're looking for on those two sets of building setbacks that need to be on the plat. So with that, I look for a motion for plat I of the Foothill Village subdivision. Unless there's any further discussion.
I did all the Summer Ridge ones, so I'll look for somebody else to take an opportunity to.
I'll make a motion that we accept Foothill Village plat I with respect to making all the red line revisions and adjustments.
Okay. So do we need to add that to the city council for the vacation?
I think subject to the.
Subject to the city council then and the dedication, road dedication.
It actually be
Vacation.
Vacation.
Okay, all right. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Wade. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. The next one is going to be Foothill Village Plat L, which is just directly southwest. We just looked at this one right here, so we'll go through and you can see with those two plats, they'll have water line looping through future H and connectivity when the road gets done, the frontage road, and to get all the way back up to Foothill Village Boulevard, which is this road right here. Okay.
I don't have anything.
Okay.
No comments.
Okay.
I just have a question on those city streets. It's gonna go over to a private street, right?
There are no private streets in here.
In an H?
H is a narrower cross section because you've got smaller lots there, but there are no private roads in here.
Okay. I don't have anything.
Okay.
We've already gone through address.
Addressing is good. Okay. Jason.
Nothing.
Okay. Let me look at red lines really quick, guys. I think there's just some cleanup items, Sean, for the boundary description. Again, the setbacks. Is this an older one too?
Yeah,
I'm
it's an old
thinking
one.
it is, yes.
Okay. Let me open up the right one. Sorry.
That better be an old one or Curtis is gonna fire me.
Okay, coming up now. Okay, still the setback items on there. Go up a page, see if there's anything on the cover. Similar notes that we had on the previous one, just to cover those, Sean. The setbacks. And I think that's probably it. Let's get through this and see what we got. Again, I don't think we've seen the legal description on that for that offsite easement, so we'll look to see that. Again, storm drain boxes, just making sure we got proper depth on those. That's these 3 pages here. Okay, nothing else. I look for motion.
I make a motion to accept Foothill Village plat
L.
phase L with condition of meeting all the red line requirements.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Second by Ryan. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, that's it, guys. Thank you for joining us. We'll get these red lines over to you so you can address those, Sean.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Curtis. All right, the last thing on the agenda is the approval of minutes. I'll look for a motion if there's not any discussion.
I'll motion to approve the minutes from March 24th.
A motion by Taylor, we have a second.
Second.
Second by Wade. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Thanks, everybody. We'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And we thank you to the public for joining us for this meeting.